to say thanks for coming in for the roundtable discussion on the Normatec Legs. This is their third iteration of the Legs, the Normatec 3. A couple changes in how the controller works, a little more user-friendly, bigger battery, type of stuff like that. But we're going to talk about our experiences using them and what they're for, because they kind of just look like a weird space suit of some type.
Really big blood pressure cost.
Yeah, and then we'll talk a little bit, we'll touch base on a couple of their other products, the massage guns, which are super popular for not just recovery stuff, but sore muscles, and then foam roller that vibrates. So we can start with the Normatec's. So a little bit of the tech spec on them. It uses a pneumatic air pressure. Big control unit is what has the pump in it, and the hoses, the space hoses running to the legs is actually, there's 5 different sections on the legs itself. So you can actually concentrate more on the upper thighs, down on the calves, on the feet, depending on where you're more sore. And they are traditionally looked at as a recovery tool.
And this one, can you choose a section to focus on?
Yeah.
Zone boost.
Yeah, zone boost.
Yep. You can increase, so if you're particularly sore, I can imagine you'll be sore in different places if you're riding a bike, if you're skiing, if you're running, snowshoeing. We're using different muscles and different muscle groups in a lot of those places. So all 3 of us have used the Normatec Legs in some iteration and even own them. So we'll talk about what we use them for. We'll talk about the pros on these, and if there's any cons, we can talk about that. So personally, I use them for recovering after longer bike rides. Actually, skiing, not just like, I don't only use it after a workout. If I've been on my feet a bunch during the day at the shop, using them actually seems to really help.
As I say, they're marketed towards like athletes, but if you're the type of person that has a job where you're doing mostly like manual labor, landscaping, that sort of thing, or if you just got a hard day at home working in the yard,
yeah,
this is still going to take care of the same aches and pains that you would using it in an athletic sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Christy, you don't work for the shop. You're definitely
I'm just a customer.
You're just a customer. We tried to kick you out at closing time, but you were too into
I have
using
15
them.
minutes left. I'm not leaving.
Yeah. So, but you are an athlete. For those of you that don't know Christy, she's got some pretty good accomplishments on her racing resume. She's only been biking for how long?
Oh, I think this was my 4th summer mountain biking, but first year competing, racing mountain biking instead of ultra running.
Yep. So you were doing ultra running for how many years prior to that?
Somewhere in the 5 to 10 range. I don't remember exactly when I started.
Okay. And how long have you been using the recovery legs?
I think we bought the legs 3 years ago. I think it was.
Okay. And what are the main benefits that you notice from using them?
I really like them for after hard efforts. I'll put them on, and then you just get the lactic acid out of your muscles before it has a chance to make your legs sore. I'll also use them when I am sore, just kind of as a nice light massage. I'll put them on a lower pressure level when I have sore legs. One of the best uses we found for them is when you run relay races. You can bring them like in the vehicle with you, and as soon as you get done with your leg, you throw them on, and it keeps your legs from cramping up in between your relay legs when you have to do back-to-back efforts like that.
Yeah, so kind of refreshing them in between your turn to run again.
Yep.
And actually, you used those. We had a trip in April, a biking trip that we did, but you had just done a relay run. Like you did.
Came straight from the event
Came straight
to the
from the
biking
Buck
trip.
50 relay in Ohio. Yeah.
And then we had a bunch of days of riding bikes
Yep.
in not the easiest terrain. We had a lot of climbing, so your legs were taking a beating. And
Yeah, these things were on after every leg of that relay and after every bike ride. We had them in our camper.
Yep. Yeah. My daughter runs for a college locally on their cross country and track team, and she is in those things almost every single day.
Yeah.
And she's noticed. She said even her teammates who have used just the foam rollers would have sore legs the next day, and she felt much more fresh. It's gotten to the point where the team has actually bought a pair, and
Oh,
they're
wow.
using them now.
Nice.
So yeah, they're of great benefit. Jess, what are your experiences?
So I've been using them. I got my own set probably about a year and a half ago. And before that, the CrossFit box that I was a member of had a set that you could use with your membership. So I started using them there, and that's really how I got my first sort of exposure to them. And we would even stop, like, if we went on a bike ride, we'd stop at our CrossFit box on the way driving home from our bike ride or my run, go in there, use the legs.
On your way home.
On the way home. And then when I moved up here, we decided, well, it's about time to get a set of our own. I've got the iteration right before this
Previous
one,
generation.
so just slightly different control unit, but works all the same. And I've noticed that really, like you said, for hard efforts, and especially like if I'm having like a hard like weight training day, then this really helps even just function normally, you know?
Yeah.
Not feel like, oh, I really did something the day before. And one thing I like about it is that, like you can see, just hanging out in this zero gravity chair, you can do other stuff. Like you can watch TV. I eat dinner while I'm in them.
Yeah.
And it kind of takes the guesswork out of it. Sometimes when I'm using a foam roller, I'm wondering, oh, am I getting the right spots? Have I got everywhere? Is this enough? And this kind of little set it and forget it way of getting it done.
Yeah, I really like the boost on it. When I start to get ready for ski season, I start to do some running, and I don't run so that
It's a big shocker to different muscles in your legs.
Gosh. Yeah, it hurts for like 2 weeks while you're getting
Yeah,
back
you're
in.
getting back used to it.
And I have found that using that has really helped reduce the soreness of those legs. They're still going to be sore. It's not a magic cure-all,
Right.
but it definitely has helped. I've liked them a lot. I think it's important to note they also have full hip.
Yep, we've got the hips at home, which they almost, yeah, they look like a big pair of like those hockey pants.
Yep.
And they do make the arms, but I have not used those ones.
Yeah, I was thinking
Yeah.
that coming this ski season, that might be a
Oh,
thing.
with all the,
Yeah, we're gonna
yeah.
maybe add that in and
Mhm.
give those a shot, but I can only
I
imagine
really
it
like the
works as
hips.
well. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I haven't had experience with the hips myself, but I know I've actually had a hip issue from starting to run again. Maybe that'll help. Now on the legs, we all talked about the pros. Are there any cons that you've found?
I will say, as a shorter person, the regular size legs can be too long, and I'll actually have to turn off the upper zone because it's too high up. But they do sell a shorter length. We just were kind of torn between my husband and I if he needed the longer ones and I
Yeah.
needed the shorter ones, so we
Yeah.
just went with the long.
Well,
Or the
regular, because
size.
there's actually a long now
Oh,
too.
Yeah.
we don't have the long one.
Yeah.
Regular versus short.
So that's what I've had the same experience. We ended up getting just the regular standard size that comes, I guess, with it. Since my husband is 6'5" and I'm 4'11", we didn't want to buy 2 sets of legs, so we just kind of be compromised.
Yeah, what's nice though is Hyperice does, if you have the controller, they do sell the legs themselves separate without the controller. So now in that case,
You can add on later.
Right.
correct. Yep. So that is nice.
The hips are one size. You just kind of cinch there's like a belt at the top that you cinch down.
Any other cons on your side?
I would say just be careful after a really long effort of putting them on if you think you have a lot of lactic acid buildup, because all of that rushing into your bloodstream maybe could have a negative effect.
we have had some experience with that, huh?
Yeah, I put them on after merging and I ended up throwing up for a few hours afterwards. And I don't know if it was the legs or just the fact that I could just finish merging, but
Yeah.
Combination of
But
a
I have
couple
heard
different things.
from a massage therapist that they say to avoid a massage right after a huge effort like that, so it could have been.
Yeah, and it would be understandable. We've had another individual who had a similar thing. So give it some time, drink some water. With bigger efforts like that, we're not always drinking just water. We're getting electrolytes, putting in our body. We're using gels, things like that. So we're eating things our body's not used to.
Yeah.
Then we
You do
introduce all
something
the
your
lactic
body's not
acid
used
in.
to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let your body catch up first.
Yep. For me, I don't know that there's really any real negatives. I think just that the hoses, they can be a
Sometimes
little
in
bit
the way.
cumbersome, a little weird to place. Like for me, I'll have them on while I'm sitting at home in the recliner, and I'll be trying to do some work on the iPad, a laptop, and a little cumbersome sometimes to move that out of the way, but it's never really stopped me from being able to do it. So I guess that's my only real negative. The height has been good. The durability has been good. So yeah, do you have any?
No, I'm the same thing. Like these ones are actually a little less cumbersome than the old ones that I have.
Okay.
So maybe that is something that they're thinking about.
Now, as far as like backwards compatibility, is that the same hookup?
It is.
So there's backwards compatibility, which is really good. So if you already have a controller and you want to add a different size leg for somebody else in the family, you can get just the leg. You don't have to buy
the
the
whole
controller,
unit
which
altogether.
does save a fair amount of money.
They just feel good.
They do.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's like just getting a nice
Massage,
massage.
right? Like anybody would
While
go.
your
Anybody
forces
would go get a
still.
massage. You wouldn't have to say
Yeah.
only athletes get them, right?
No, definitely
So-
not. Yeah. We've got family members who are not athletes, and they've used them. They absolutely like it, just because it is, like you said, it's like getting a massage.
And we do have this set as a demo
Yep.
of the shop.
Yeah.
too.
Well, Christy's
Yep.
here using our demos.
You have to kick me out of the chair first. But
But I have used the massage gun on the hip, and it does help. I have a spot in my back that's consistently sore, and if I use the massage gun, it's not a problem. If I don't use it, it will come back and be problematic. And I have this version here. This is the more expensive version. This one's what, like $3.99?
$3.99. Yep.
It comes with 5 different interchangeable heads, but it's got more power modes. It's 5 speed modes, and it has a little more heft. It's harder to hold in a spot, but it also gets deeper into the muscle tissue. And then there's this one, which actually is surprisingly good.
Yeah, for one that's marketed that you mostly for like a travel version,
Right.
you can take with you. It's surprising how good this one actually is. Like they didn't just skimp on it because it's the travel version.
Yeah, it'll still get to those muscles. You'll still feel the soreness for sure. And that one's a lot less expensive. It only comes with this head and the bullet point, but it's only $199. So it's a really nice way to get into the massage gun as well. Now on the foam rollers,
They're both quite quiet, a lot quieter than massage guns have been
yeah,
in the past.
that's a good point. Maybe we should turn that on.
Because I've got an older massage gun, not this brand that we got years ago on like a Black Friday sale. And when you turn it on, it sounds like you've got a jackhammer.
Yeah, and that one, that's its
That's the
fastest
highest
setting. Yep. Yeah, so it's not a terribly loud.
No.
And we can talk over it if we want to.
Yeah.
So. And then this one, Christy, you have this.
I have an older model of that one. Yeah.
Okay. And your experiences with it have been.
They're great for when you're sore. If you have a trigger point, like a one real sore spot in your back or legs or whatever, you can put that on it and we'll work it out like a massage would.
Yep. So that's where I usually use it after bike rides. And yeah, it's amazing how well it works.
I like the different heads too for the different attachments.
Yeah, so there's that one's for calves. Is a lot of that one that use. this one, neck and shoulders.
Oh, it's got a little bit more, there's some give to it on
Yep.
it.
Yep, and then the ball is actually the one I started with using, and then kind of transitioned to that flatter one. This one I still use a fair amount, sometimes prefer it over the flat head, and then there's if you have a real deep spot that's really getting to you, the bullet is actually a really nice one to have. So this model comes with the flat and the bullet, where this model comes with all
Full
5.
assortment.
Yep. Yep. And so we've all been using the massage guns. I've been using one for 3-4 years now. The whole family digs that one. Let's catch. And then foam rollers. Everybody knows how foam rollers work to reduce muscle soreness. This one just has a vibrating mode, so works better.
What is neat on these ones is, what I've looked up on the Hyperice website is they've got an app for it, and you can go in there and kind of tell it where you're sore, and it'll tell you where to use the foam roller and for how long, and prompt you on like what body part, like what muscle to do.
Where to move
next.
it to, what process
Mhm.
to do. Yeah,
Like I
and-
was saying before, sometimes like everybody knows, oh, a foam roller can help, but like where exactly, for how long,
am I
how
using
much,
it properly?
am I doing it right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point, because actually they have that for the massage gun as well.
Mhm.
I'll get a recommendation on my phone in the morning saying, hey, we saw this activity, you should do this.
Sure.
And you can actually, I can, from the phone, start a program, and it'll tell me move it to this location, switch to this head, move to this location, through that whole process. So it's actually kind of a neat
It
app.
helps you
I
get the
really like
best
it.
out of it.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Instead
exactly.
of just guessing what
Yep.
you should be doing.
Yep. Awesome. Well, again, thanks for sticking around. Thanks for showing up. Talk about to do our little roundtable on the Normatec Legs and some of the other Hyperice products that we've got here. So.
Should we just leave you in them and turn the lights on? Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll let you out in the morning. You're right near the water fountain.
I'll message Greg so you don't even have to worry about it. All right. Well, thanks, and we'll see you next time.